If you have ever wondered if you are a healer, you're in the right place. I've put together 9 signs that you are a healer and may not even know it, or that you're intended to be a healer. Now, let me be very clear. If you are a healer, I do believe that we are sort of born into the world to be that kind of person. We can definitely have outside influences. Many of those influences can be very difficult, or we can have gone through our own health challenges that have called up in us or awakened in us that desire to heal other people. But so I wanted to just kind of give you a list of 9 signs that you may be a healer and don't even realize it yet. So the first one, and one that I can personally remember having, is that you've always felt like you had a bigger purpose in this world. I can remember being a little kid, and for some reason, I just knew I had a big calling, that I was supposed to do something to really help the world. Like, excuse me, I can remember being, I don't know, 4, 5 years old in Cincinnati, Ohio, and running around with all my friends in the neighborhood and just knowing that I was different, that I saw things different, and that I wanted to go do something really big. I felt like I was supposed to do something important that was going to help life in general. Okay. The second one is you have always studied human nature. What do I mean by that? Are you an observer of human beings, of motivations, of why somebody acts the way that they do, of, I can remember sitting way back when I first was starting to develop the system that I now teach. I can remember sitting in a bookstore and I couldn't help it. I just kept picking up little snippets of conversation around me. And I was kind of reading what everybody was doing, what their motivations were. I was hearing these little snippets and thinking, oh, that's a manipulative little thing, or, oh, that person has this going on, right? And I couldn't kind of help it. So I've always been one of those people that I would watch human nature and just really see. I was always looking at and trying to unravel the whys behind why people behave, I guess, the way they do, and what the underlying motivations are. And you may feel that way too. So you may also sit in places and kind of observe human nature, or, maybe you like to go to a cafe or something and just sit and watch people walk by, people watching, and just being fascinated with really the state of human beings and what makes people tick. So the next one is you are a pattern seeker. So what do I mean by that? Were you a person, or are you now a person who tends to look for the cause and effect in situations? Now, I find that this is actually kind of a very telling one towards that you should become a healer. There's a reason. It doesn't seem like I've always been very much a pattern seeker. I wanted to know, like, well, this happened, so let me reverse engineer that. Why did that happen? Now, obviously, in the world, you can't always decipher all of that. Life can be very or seemingly unpredictable in a lot of ways. But I'm a person who tends to see, okay, this happened and that happened, so this plus this equals this happening, right? And so the reason I say that I feel like is one of those like check mark factors that you are supposed to be a healer is because it is kind of in my experience, a rare trait. Lots of people in the world go through the world and things happen and they don't really try to see the patterns in things. They don't really ever start questioning what was going on, what might have led to that, what was that motivation, what was this, what was that, how could these things connect, and like trying to solve that question, trying to put those pieces together like a puzzle and solve that question. Lots of people just don't do that, and that's not in any way a judgment. That's not their path. That's not what they do. So the people that come to me that are those kinds of people that are seekers of information, that are, they see these patterns and they are like picking up, they're often voracious learners and readers, and they consume a lot, whether it's here on YouTube or consuming wherever you do consume a lot of information, trying to understand, trying to gain new knowledge that's going to somehow piece that extra little pattern together. That is a big, big sign that you are a healer, or certainly a healing mentality type person. I know for me, I can't ever stop seeing patterns in the world, and I cannot ever stop trying to unravel better new solutions or learn a little bit more that maybe is going to be that extra little thing that's going to even supercharge a result for somebody even more. I'm constantly in a constant state of pattern seeking and learning more information so that those patterns can have meaning and that I can do something with them. So if that sounds like you can check that box. It's a big box on being a healer. The next big one for me is that you are an empath. So what is an empath? There is a lot of nonsense going out about it. What is an empath? An empath, very seriously, is a person who feels others' pain, suffering, and even positive emotions as our own. Now, there is so much stuff going on out there like that you're only an empath because you're hypervigilant due to trauma. I can 100% tell you that is absolutely totally not accurate. So I'll do another video on that at some point because it's driving me absolutely crazy. But there's like scientific studies showing that those of us that are actually empaths have a nervous system that is actually tuned differently. We are literally more sensitive to taking external information and processing it quickly and in a more sensitive way than a non-empath person. They are also able to take MRIs or imaging of the brain. They are able to predict who is an empath or a highly empathic person based on which areas of the brain are lighting up when they are shown various images. So this is not something that's just, it's not woo-woo. It is what you come in coded with. Yes, you can have traumas in your life that increase that. And again, I'll do another video on that because that's an important topic, but that can increase your using your empath abilities in a way that sometimes can be hypervigilance or sometimes can be very anxiety related. But that is not what is creating an empath. I believe we come in, I think there is as empaths, and a certain small percentage of us come in as really highly empaths. And I think there's a biological reason for it, right? In the world, we as the empaths tend to be sort of the canaries in the coal mine. We are more aware because we can sense changes in things like barometric pressure, in things like the energy of a room, or we can sense things that are like, you can feel, you have like that spidey sense that something's up with someone in a different way. And from a biological perspective, that's actually a really valuable set of skills that helps the survival of the group, right? So from a biological perspective, we can see that even in animal groups, that some animals in a tribe or a pack are definitely more sensitive than the others. They're sort of the seers and the seekers, right? So anyways, if you're an empath like me, and you tend to be a person who, in addition, takes on other people's, like I will actually sense someone else's, like what's going on inside them. So I will sense someone else's like headache or stomach ache or back pain or those kinds of things. That's sort of a physical empath. That's a person who's literally absorbing and feeling other people's actual physical pain as your own. If you're checking that box or all of this sounds like something, oh yeah, this is who I've been. I've always been so highly, highly sensitive. If you're not 100% sure, you can take my empath test. I'll make sure that it's linked in the comments below. Super fast. You can just take a quick look and see. It sort of judges not so much if you're an empath, but how overwhelmed you are as an empath. So a lot of times we are unaware that we're empaths. And what happens is we get very overwhelmed because we don't have tools to be able to control those things. So if you're an empath, check. That is number 4 on our list. Number 5 is that you need breaks in nature. So every healer I have known, or every healer that I'm working with and helping to train now, they tend to need some sort of breaks in nature. So for me, I tend to take my shoes off and I go out and I stand in the grass. I need like the grounding of the grass on my feet helps to kind of discharge energy and emotions that you've picked up during the day. I also, about once a week, I try to go to our local botanic gardens to kind of reset and recharge my spirit, just be literally going around oftentimes like just touching flowers and grabbing onto trees and things like that, because it just helps me to feel like I am sort of grounded. And so if you are that kind of person and you are really drawn to nature, it could be the beach, could be a lake, could be a hike, walking out in nature, just getting out and getting a breath of fresh air during the day. But you'll have a sense that you really need nature. You'll oftentimes also be super drawn to animals and kids. Now, this can also be an indication of being an empath. We tend to have a protective desire towards things that sometimes need protected, such as animals and kids. However, that can also be something where, being with a child or being with an animal or dog or cat, whatever, can be very calming and really centering you from an energetic and spiritual place. Okay. The number 6 is that you are constantly trying to improve life. Those of us that are called to be healers, we want to help the world. We want to improve this world that we're living in, even when all the craziness is going on, and maybe even more now because there's a ton of craziness in the world. We know that there are things we can do to improve the world and make this world a better place, and we have to try to put those things into place. So if you are a person who feels like that, now again, that can be super overwhelming. You get compassion fatigue out the yin yang on that because it's just, there's so much going on. So that's something to certainly manage. But if that's a person like you just have this desire to help people and improve the world, you're likely a healer. The next one is you're highly creative. So if you're a person who is always trying to create different things, it does not necessarily mean you have like crazy artistic talent. I don't particularly, but for me, creativity means, creating programs, finding solutions, and then creating really unique solutions for whatever those problems are, trying to come up with those kinds of things. My brain is always going on new ways to create new things. But I have found that most people that are healers do have some level of some creativity, whether it's journaling, writing, whether it's painting, whether it's just going and, putting together like mosaics and things like that. So if you're a very creative person, like you always have this desire to create, then that is oftentimes an indication that you are a healer. The next one, I mean, certainly I think a lot of healers have dealt with this, and that's why I put it here. You feel like you don't quite fit in. Like you're in groups and you're with people and you love them, but there's always this sense that you're just not quite fitting in. You're a little bit of a square peg in a circle hole, right? I can remember growing up and I had lots of very lovely friends. And however, I can remember feeling like an old soul, feeling like I would look at things in, when I was a kid, and I just didn't get any of it. I didn't get why people were doing what they were doing. It didn't make sense to me. And trying to find people that just really got me at that level was different. I mean, thankfully, I have found friends and groups, and now I teach practitioners, healing practitioners, how to learn my modality. So I'm helping train healing practitioners now. And we have an amazing community, excuse me, of people that one of the big things I get is, oh my God, I actually fit in. I actually feel supported. I actually feel understood. So I think a lot of times those of us that were called to the healing profession, I think we spend a lot of time maybe trying to be understood or trying to understand situations we just don't, because we see things from a different perspective than others. Not everybody's called to be a healer, and not everybody's supposed to be a healer. Not everybody is a healer, right? I mean, it wouldn't even make sense for that to be that way in the world. There's a certain percentage of us. And because it tends to be a smaller percentage of people, you're just not going to fit in the same, right? So it's important to find community where you are understood and supported. And the final one I'm going to mention is that you are intuitive. Now, I want to talk about this. I, in fact, have had so many clients that are like, I'd be like, well, you do get, you're highly intuitive. And they're like, am I? They really are. So what is being intuitive? Intuitive is you just have that sense of something. Sometimes you're a visual intuitive person, so you get flashes of intuition. Like I tend to get images when I'm working with people. I'll get just a flash of an image that something pops into my brain and I'm like, oh, that's the connection, right? And I, for the longest time, did not realize that was being intuitive. And why is that? Okay. Because for me, it seemed logical. Like, honestly, it's super logical. When I work with someone, it's just A plus B equals C, and it's just super logical. So a lot of intuitive people feel that way. And I think it's because for a very long time, there has been this mystique that sometimes is built up, honestly, by other gurus that are trying to kind of be the ones leading you to your own awareness kind of thing. That's another video I need to do. And so they build up this mystique, like you have to have almost this like fairy godmother drop in front of you and tell you this is the intuition, bippity boppity boop. And it's not that way. That's not actually what intuition is. I believe all of us are coded with intuition. It is not woo-woo. It is, again, I think it's just a basic biological thing that our nervous system is wired a certain way to be able to sense things around us to help us thrive, truly, and survive. Okay. Some of us are coded or aligned differently. We just process things differently and we get things differently. A lot of times, if you are an intuitive person, the reason you won't realize that until much longer and you encounter somebody like me that goes, oh, yeah, that's intuition, is because you're so used to getting that information in the way that you get it, or having that gut instinct that's really, really, really strong, that is just normal to you. It doesn't feel like anything out there, crazy, again, like something showing up with like, oh, kind of thing for you. It's just logical. It's just normal for you to have your intuition. I can't tell you the number of times, honestly, that I'll just get a bit of information go flying through my brain about something and it's absolutely accurate, but I never thought of it as intuitive because I don't know. It just seemed totally me. It was just normal. It was just the average way I was, right? So I want to say to you, like, if you're the kind of person that you do get these sort of flashes of inspiration, these hits of inspiration, you get a thought, that thought might be that nudge towards something. If you're talking to somebody you love and suddenly you're like, I think this is what's going on with them. And you just get like, maybe like me, I tend to be what they call, I think it's clairvoyant. I always get them wrong, but I will get images. I'll just get a flash of an image and it feels like just a visual thought and it will be trying to show me something. And it's not like somebody standing out there in front of me saying, hey, here's the thing with like a big red sign. It's just, here's that flash. And the more that you learn how to pay attention to that intuition and understand and acknowledge that for you, intuition is logical, it is just a normal part of who you are, the stronger you can be as a healer. So hopefully these were really helpful. If they were, I'd love to hear a comment below. Please like, share, and subscribe if you have somebody that you think might be a healer. And this would be really helpful for them just to have a little bit of a short list to go through and kind of relate to and hopefully recognize that they are a healer. So if you are recognizing yourself here and you are already a healer, or you now are like, wow, I think I am supposed to be a healer, I've got a couple of things coming up that might be of interest to you. So one is, for a lot of us as healers, we can have a really hard time healing ourselves. So every month now, I'm doing a program called the Radical Healing for Healers. And it is an extremely comprehensive program that the entire goal is to help you to learn the message behind any pain or disease you're dealing with and be able to get and develop out your own personalized action plan so that you can heal and that you can do this in a safe space. A lot of times when we are healers and we have something physical going on with us or health related going on with us, we can feel like there's nowhere to turn because people will be like, why aren't you healing yourself? Well, healing yourself can be really hard. That's why you need sometimes an outside system and an outside person to help you. So if you are a healer in need of healing, please jump in. It's totally free. I'm just doing it to help the healers of the world be able to have even more power and hopefully heal more people. And the second thing is, if you have always wanted to learn how to use all of your healing skills at the top most possible level, and you'd love to learn how to be a medical intuitive that you could translate the message behind anybody's pain and disease in about 1 to 3 minutes, then you definitely want to check out my healing practitioner certifications. I am exceptionally proud of these certifications. These are like nothing else out there. I have designed them to be absolutely the top level training you could possibly get so that you can get out there and thrive as a medical intuitive, as a healer, and really be able to use your skills in the strongest way. If you're interested in finding out about that, put a comment below the video and I will make sure to get you some information that you can check out all about this program and this certification. I'm only accepting a very small amount of people a month into my certification program so that I can give you the top level of support I possibly can. So this is not a, do a course for a weekend and suddenly become qualified to tell everyone how to live type of program. This is very much about you learning how to use your soul gifts in a really unique way using the methodology, which is science-based, that I created and that is incredibly crazy effective for people. And then going out and creating your own thriving healing practice or adding it to your healing practice. So anyways, you can comment below if that's of interest to you. At any rate, please let me know. Is there a video you'd like me to tackle? Are you struggling with something as a healer, a therapist, an empath, a social worker, whatever, that you think that I could help with some sort of a topic? Please post that topic below or ask a question below, and I'll be happy to do a video in response to that. See you guys next time.